it's Betsy, and today we have a fun video. We're gonna go over my top 10 basic bitch palettes. Now, I have my stack of palettes right here, and to me, these are the palettes that I reach for if I've got somewhere to go quickly. I know I can get a beautiful and easy look out of these. They're pretty much universally flattering, so they will work on a magnitude or a multitude of skin tones. And you know, for myself personally, I think that you can wear color if you want to. Color can be a neutral. I don't care what people wear. You do you, boo boo. You make yourself happy. But I also know that, like, having kids in school, these are the palettes that I'm gonna reach for PTA meetings and things like that. Because even though I'm not one who cares about what other people wear, I know other people, you know, may not want their kids to play with the mom with the crazy blue eyeshadow, if that makes sense. So these are the palettes that I think are phenomenal. And if you're looking for a good neutral palette, I think this is where it's at, and they're in a variety of price ranges and things like that. So we're gonna start off. First off is probably the newest one to my collection out of this, and that is the Patrick Ta, I think this is the Major Dimension eyeshadow palette. So the outside of the packaging, as you can see, is covered in fingerprints. We will open her up and she looks like this. There are 10 regular pressed eyeshadows and then 2 cream eyeshadows, but this palette is stunning on the eyes. It is so easy to work with. You know, pretty much everything goes together. The shimmers are a beautiful sparkle. The creams work beautifully, and I am so happy that I have this palette in my collection. It's like neutrals, as I said, with a twist. So like the shimmers that are in here are just so stinking pretty. Like whenever they're on the eyes, they're nice and foiled and metallic, and there is some micro glitter in them. But you see what I'm saying? Those are just beautiful. And the mattes, again, they just perform. Next up, this is the Artist Couture Supreme Nudes. Now, they just released the Supreme Bronze. I don't have that. This is what this palette looks like. Again, neutrals with a twist. You see how nice and soft and pigmented these mattes are? The mattes in this are phenomenal. And I definitely recommend checking it out if you're interested. I think that it is such a good palette, and I know that this palette is beloved by so many. I skipped it originally, but like my friend Rupi has this and preached about it, and I was like, okay, you're coming into my collection, and I am so glad that I have it. I just think it's phenomenal. Next up, this is the Sydney Grace Enduring Love. This is the light palette. So Sydney Grace typically does 2 versions of each palette, one a light version and one a dark version. So it will have lighter mattes in the light version and deeper in the deep. Now, to me, this is more of a cool toned eyeshadow palette. Now, there are a couple of pops of color with Ruth and Elizabeth. Those are a little bit brighter, and Abigail. But other than that, like the shimmers that are in this palette, look at this, are gorgeous, and their matte formula cannot be beat. Like you can see, I mean, I barely went in there. There's still tons of pigment left on my fingers and on my hand. I just think that these perform amazing. And Sydney Grace has some amazing palettes, and they have singles. So you can always add just a couple of colors if you have a good single collection, or if you're someone like me who loves palettes. I definitely would recommend this. As I said, I think that this is phenomenal, and I think it is so, so good. One of my favorites. Next up, this one is in probably my top 10 eyeshadow palettes ever, and this is the Pat McGrath Bronze Seduction Mothership palette. Now, this is an expensive one. This is a $125 palette, but this is the palette literally anytime I've got anywhere that I need neutrals, I almost always go for this one. This is my baby. The mattes in here are so phenomenal. But where Pat McGrath, where it gets me every time, are their shimmers, because their shimmers are just so beautiful and unique. Like, I have tried a bajillion shimmers in my life, but I still feel like Pat McGrath. You see how sparkly those are? And you see the mattes. I mean, they just went on. Simple, easy. It's just about as easy as a palette that you can work with. But you still get some pow with the shimmers that are in here. And again, Mama Pat, she doesn't do me wrong. For the most part, almost everything that I've gotten from that brand is something that I absolutely love. So this is a definite, this is like a holy grail palette for me. Next up, this is the holy grail palette. This is the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette. This is my all-time favorite palette, and it has been since I've purchased it. So I've had this for a while. Now, we've got these greens on this side, and you're like, Betsy, well, greens are not a neutral. These types of green shades actually work well as neutral shades. So as you can see, I mean, yes, they pull green, but they're not like green, they're not like grass green. So as you can see on my skin tone, how much more neutral they pull. So you can kind of see how that would be flattering for my eye shape or my eye color. Now, there are only 2 shimmers in this palette, but don't let that fool you because these are beautiful. So we have Goals and Gemini. They're just nice and foiled. This is just the best palette in my collection. It is my favorite because it has all the shades of colors that I love. Those good grungy greens are awesome. And the neutrals that are the warm tone neutrals that are in here. This is a palette I feel like that will flatter anybody. So I love this. This is my favorite palette of all time, still. Next up, this is the Nomad by Juvia's. So as you can see, this is more on the grungy scale, which I love a good grungy neutral palette. And this is like an amazing grungy palette for fall. Again, the Juvia's Place does eyeshadows so good. Look. Their shimmers are amazing. This palette only has 2 shimmers, and then they have sequin shadows that have like matte flakes in them. But their mattes and shimmers, look at that, just perform beautifully. So good, so good. And Juvia's Place is pretty inexpensive. I think that palette is like 15 bucks. It's under 20, I'm pretty sure. And Juvia's Place does amazing sales. They just had like a 30% off of everything sale. So this is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I love this palette. It's amazing. Next up, we have something that's a little bit different. This is the Huda Beauty New Nudes. So this is very much a pinky toned neutral palette. So as you can see, there's tons of neutral shades in here, but the pinky tones are actually flattering for so many skin types. So it has a concealer shade in here, which I really don't use, that you can use as an eye base, but the mattes that are in here are just beautiful tones, and then the shimmers are so stinking pretty. I love this palette. So that's there we go. So that would be the cream shade. That didn't swatch the best, but I just wiped my fingers with a wet wipe. But you see what I'm saying? Like how that is neutrals with a twist. I think that pinky tone neutrals can be super flattering on any skin tone, and there's something about this kind of color scheme that really does look beautiful on. It really does. Like, it's soft, it's romantic. This is a great palette to wear to weddings, things like that, where you want to be soft and pretty. You don't want to upstage the bride. This is a great option for that. I love this palette. Next up, we have the Glamlight Chocolate Donut palette. So this is one of their weird shaped palettes. I keep the boxes for these because how do you store this without this? I mean, I get that it has a flat edge, but it's squishy. This just protects it. I bought this in their Chocolate Lovers kit, and look at this. This is just the most perfect neutral palette. Again, Glamlight shimmers They really are not something to be joked with. And their mattes are amazing. So, and Glam Light isn't super expensive. I think that this palette's like 25 bucks, but, or it may be even cheaper than that, but look how beautiful. You've got like some with some sparkle, you've got them where they're just smooth and foiled, and the mattes are just stunning, stunning. But yeah, I really, really love Glam Light, and I love their formula. I think that it's so good. So good. And I'm happy that I have it in my collection. But yeah, I mean, Glam Light is a brand that I think gets slept on quite a bit because they do so many food themed palettes, but their quality is top notch. Here's another affordable, and this is, I hope that they bring this back. They have brought it back before. This is from the BH Cosmetics Sweet Shop palette, and this is the Sugar Cone palette. I mean, it doesn't get much more neutral than this, but again, the mattes in here are just amazingly soft, and so are the shimmers. Like, see how, I mean, look how beautiful. They're nice and soft. It does amazingly whenever you put it on your eyeballs. So I hope that they bring these back again, but any of the color palettes from the Sweet Shop collection are amazing. But if you're wanting a neutral toned one, the Sugar Cone is phenomenal, phenomenal quality. Now, last but definitely, certainly not least, and this is another pricey one. This is the Natasha Denona Gold Palette. As you can see, the outside cover is filthy, but look at this color story. This is the Natasha formula that I love. These are the good shimmers because some of the palettes she's done doesn't have the great shimmers. Look at that. I mean, look how beautiful. And then the mattes, so pigmented, so good. Look how good those are. Aren't those amazing? They're so beautifully reflective and shiny. To me, the gold and Metropolis are my top two palettes. I prefer Metropolis because it has some more colorful shades in it, but gold is definitely number two for Natasha Denona shadows. This is such an amazingly good neutral palette. So, let me know down below what your favorite neutral palette is, or your favorite basic bitch palette. Because to me, I don't think that neutrals have to be just neutrals. They don't have to be just brown tones. It's kind of like showing you the Huda Beauty new nudes. The pinky tones work beautifully for nudes. So it's finding what colors suit your skin tone, and don't be afraid to experiment. But let me know down below what your basic bitch palette favorites are. I guess that's it. If you like this video, don't forget to give it 2 thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button right down below. And if you hit the notification bell icon next to it, that will notify you when I post new videos, which is typically Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Saturday, we do a live at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time with some bonus content thrown in. But I guess that's it. We'll see y'all later. Bye.